All right. All right. Well, good morning. Good morning, and welcome to the Morning Report. My name is Willie Lawson, and here on my right or left, I'm never sure how this plays out, is a famous person in our world, Mr. Jeff Charles. Mr. Jeff Charles used to write for Red State, am I correct? And now he contributes to townhall.com. Townhall.com. Salem,
That's
brother.
right.
Salem. It's pretty impressive in our universe. It really is. And congratulations to you on that accomplishment. Not that you hadn't worked your ace off to do it. Welcome to the Morning Report. We appreciate that you spent some time with us this morning.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. It's been a while since we've done this.
It's been more than a year, and I don't like that. I don't like that at all. But again, you've been busy being famous, so and I've just been sitting here. Listen, Jeff has come up with a concept that I don't know if I ever seen anywhere else or heard about anywhere else. So I'm going to attribute it to him. I'm just gonna knee jerk give it to you. This whole concept, this idea of the woke right. Well, everybody thinks they know what wokeness is and what the woke left is, especially online. I think that, and I don't think it's the polar opposite. I think it's basically on the same side of the spectrum. The spectrum goes in a circle, and these people are right
Mhm.
next to each other. This concept of the woke right. Am I anywhere close to describing what you've decided the woke right is?
Yeah. And to be fair, I didn't come up with that term. Actually, nobody really knows who did. I think it's just a lot of people recognize what was happening on the right at the same time.
It was you.
Um, okay, yeah, it was me. No, but I mean, other people talk about like Hotep Jesus, James Lindsay, and some others, and it really, and also I'll also acknowledge that the way we use the word woke today on either side of the spectrum bears very little resemblance to the original use of the word way back in the early 1900s, which to me, I wish we could just get back to that one. But anyway, when I'm talking about the woke right, it's really simple. I think some people make it sound more complicated than it actually is, but it's really when you see people on the right using the same tactics, approaching things with the same type of mindset as what you see on the woke left. So, example, the woke left calls everybody racist and everybody's a bigot and they really just are trying to portray themselves as standing up for a marginalized community that is being put upon by the rest of the country. On the right, you have kind of the same thing, but they focus on different groups. So a lot of the wokeness deals with identitarianism, using immutable characteristics to define who somebody is. So, for instance, you might see people who on the right who every time something bad happens, it's the Jews. It's the Jews. It's the Jews. If they can't get ahead in life, it's because the Jews, this one group of people, is oppressing white men by not allowing them to get ahead. Or it can translate into the whole backlash towards DEI, which a lot of that is justified, but they have taken it to a level to where they're basically woke with it. White people can't get ahead because all of these unqualified black men and Hispanic men and members of the LGBTQ community are getting all the great jobs. They're taking something that has a kernel of truth to it, and then they're blowing it out to outer space, just like the left does with racism against black folks or Hispanics or what have you. So I think that's it in a nutshell. When you see people on the right using the same type of tactics or the same type of promotion of victimhood, then that's what we're calling woke right.
Yeah, it's and I think this happened because we are in a soundbite video clip universe where no one decides to look any deeper into any situation than they absolutely have to, than past the 1 minute TikTok video or just the caption, and that's where we are. And then people build it's like religions building an entire religious sect of one scripture, and then they're off to the races. You're like, really? And everybody
Yes.
else is terrible. Everybody else is going to hell. But you built your entire
Hmm.
faith on one scripture, really? And it seems to be that's what the left does. The left does that all the time. When I first started this whole adventure, because I started in 2008. It was a bad time to start this in 2008. If I didn't want to push back. Oh, and if you don't remember, Barack Obama was running for president in 2008. I know it seemed like a long time ago, but yeah, Barack Obama.
Yeah.
So people would, and it was a call-in show on Blog Talk Radio. So people would call in and go, why don't you like Barack Obama? And so I had to always say, I don't know if I dislike Barack. I don't know him, dude. I've never met him. And you know what? And where I first saw the woke right was, I said, later after I got elected, I said, if the president, Barack Obama, invited me to go to the White House to watch March Madness and have some White House snacks, I'm going. What do you mean you're
Hmm.
going?
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm going. I'm going. White House snacks in the White House on that big ass TV to watch college basketball. Spirit Airline, here I come. Let's go. Well,
You might not make it if you're going on Spirit Airlines.
well, well, I checked. I checked their safety record. Their safety record isn't bad. It's just their experience that sucks. So I figured out that an hour I'm there and I'm at the White House and I'm watching basketball, and I saw the immediate pushback. How could you? How would you do that? How could you associate with them? And I saw and we see the very same thing on the right now. How could you associate with them? Well,
Hmm.
because they're a human being, and we can't get anything done unless we start having, I don't know, conversation with folks and don't hate folks just because they look a certain way or they do a certain thing necessarily. I'm not going to take that one scripture and then define their whole life with. And I think that's what's happened. How do you think? Now I'm going to ask you now. You could one of the answers could be I don't know, because that's an answer. How do you think we get here? This whole 2016 we saw hero worship with Donald Trump. Did we not?
Oh yeah.
The
Still
same
do.
sort of hero worship we saw with Barack Obama. Did we not? Are
Yep.
we still
Exact
seeing
same.
it?
Yep. Yep. Hmm.
But if I say that out loud, now suddenly, you know, well, he's one of them sympathizers.
Hmm. Well, I mean, to speak to, I think that the powers that be have pulled off a very effective and clever con job, a whole psyop that gets us to believe that everything bad is in the other party and everything good is in whatever party you belong to, right? So if somebody is a Democrat and you're a Republican, that Democrat is an evil person. He's stupid. He's probably woke, even though that person may not necessarily agree with all the tomfoolery that's happening on their side. And it works vice versa. So if we see a situation, a news story, I'll use the Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf thing as an example of wokeness. Nobody online judged that case by the facts or by the fact or what we don't know or what could have happened. They immediately saw a black guy and a white guy. Black guy stabs the white guy and kills him. Therefore, if you're on the right, the black guy was automatically wrong. If you're on the left, well, maybe there's some more nuance here. If the races had been swapped, the people on the right wouldn't be so quick to condemn what the white guy did to the black guy if the races were swapped. And when I can predict how both sides will react just by looking at skin color or perceived political affiliation, then I know we're in trouble because I shouldn't be able to do that. Realistically, sensible people in the middle are more like, okay, this looks bad, but he says he was just defending himself. Let's wait for some more evidence to come out. We have the police report, fine, but obviously the police report isn't going to have every single detail that happened. This is going to go to trial. Carmelo Anthony deserves a defense, so I don't have a problem with people donating to his defense fund. The courts are going and the jury are going to decide what really happened here. No, we have to have this knee-jerk reaction based on skin color in this case, but in other cases, it's political affiliation. January 6th, Ashley Babbitt. I think she was murdered by the police officer. I don't think that that was a justified shooting. But you saw the two sides switch it up. Democrats instantly became back the blue no matter what they do. They were all about police then.
Crazy, ain't it?
And people on the right were like, no, this is an unjust shooting. And I'm like, okay, but if the political affiliations were switched, your opinions would be switched. That's a problem because the people are basing their opinions on the team that they're on, whether that's by skin color or by something else.
It's like, because I live in Florida, and about Florida, we're all about football. It's all we care about. Football is the
Mm.
kind with the oblong ball, not the round one, the football. And
Right.
Baker throws it up. Mike Evans pushed off, which means he's just making room. It's not offensive pass interference. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Why? Because Mike
Mm-hmm.
is wearing my jersey.
Mm-hmm.
You know, uh, Lattimore is wearing y'all jersey. So my jersey is always right, no matter what. No matter what. And you mentioned the Carmelo Anthony case, and one of the first things I said when we first talked about it here on the show was only three people know what happened in that tent, and one
Mm-hmm.
of them is dead. So my
Yeah.
opinion, I don't know. It's terrible. I can't imagine. I can't imagine being in either of those families
Yeah.
because one family lost a kid who's 17, and one may lose another one who's the same age to the system, and that kid may be in jail forever. So
Yeah.
both families have this horrible tragedy going on, and we're out here talking about it like it's a damn football game. These are real
Yeah.
lives. These
Yep.
are real. These are
Absolutely.
real people. These are real people going through some real crap. Come on, folks. Take the jerseys off for a second. There's some reality here, and if nothing else, the second child saw his brother get stabbed and died.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
how horrible is that? And nobody is mentioning the horror of that whole situation. Everybody's just lined up with whatever jersey they've got on, and that's their take. Like, stop it, stop it, stop it.
Mm-hmm.
So it sort of solidifies this fact that we're not on a political spectrum that goes horizontal. We're on a political spectrum that's circular, and at some point
Yeah.
they meet. And those people
They-
who are next to each other, who think they're on opposite ends of the spectrum, they're not. They live next door to each other. They're the same. They're
I say that all the
exactly the
time.
same.
Yeah, I say no, no. You complain about the woke left, but you are them. You just have a different perspective. You act just like them. You are the same people. And one thing I'll say too is that right now this is still a very online phenomenon. This is really how people who are chronically online behave. When you talk to people in real life, you don't see a lot of this stuff. Like if you were to judge how American society is just by what you see on X, you would think that black people and white people are at each other's throats. They hate each other. They blame each other for everything that's wrong. And then, there's always there's some again there's some truth to that. I mean, there are people like that, but in general, people get along. I mean, people get along with people who vote differently from them. They don't view the other as evil. My fear is that the influencer class on the left and the right are trying to make real life look more like X. That's when we're going to be in trouble. I mean, and I think maybe some of that is already slipping into the culture, but I don't think it's quite there yet to where I'm alarmed. But I often remind my followers and my readers what you're seeing on X is not what things look like in real life. People can have more nuanced opinions and actually sit down and have discussions, but that is the last thing that the powers that be want. I mean, and you can take any issue going on today and see that people are just taking sides based on their team. Like if Biden had been doing what Trump is doing with Palantir and that whole surveillance thing, all the MAGA people would be up in arms. They'd be all upset about it. They'd be calling it out. But when Trump is doing it, they're either defending it or they're ignoring it. But same thing on the other side. The only reason why the New York Times is blowing that up is because it's Trump. They might report about it if Biden is doing it, but they're not going to blow it up like they are right now.
Yeah, yeah. And I just hope that people like you and other folks are at least exposing the hypocrisy from the powers that be, and at least exploring the question, So why do they do this? Why are the powers that be, the media, politicians, influencer class? I know what the classes because it's all for clicks and it's all for clicks and likes, and that crap. But what is the benefit? What is the ongoing benefit to the influencer class and politicians and legacy media primarily? Why would they do this? What are they hoping to accomplish?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, throughout history, we have always had this type of thing going on. Like in Anatomy of the State, Murray Rothbard talks about the opinion molders, and that would be your media, your online influencers that didn't exist when he wrote the book. But a lot of them are doing it for personal reasons, like you mentioned, clout, clicks, and cash. They're useful idiots being used by people who are pulling their strings, whether they know it or not. I mean, we do have an elite ruling class in this country. And it's very obvious. Some are in the government, some are outside of it, some influence the government. And the thing is, if they can have us at each other's throats, we're not paying attention to what they're doing. Like we're all arguing about Glenn Greenwald's sex tape and Beyonce's country album when the surveillance state is expanding right in front of our eyes. It's a way to distract us from what they're doing by making us think that the people in the other tribe are the actual enemy when they're really not. The guy that votes for Democrats is not the enemy of a guy who votes Republican. The enemy are the elites who pull the strings on both sides of that political spectrum. So that is the issue that we're seeing today, and it's amazing to me that most people don't really see it because people go on autopilot, they outsource their opinions, they let influencers and media figures form their opinions for them. People don't think critically anymore, and people just react to the emotions that these people know how to play on.
Is it too hard to think critically? And I'm not talking about deep dives where you've actually had to read a book. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just thinking through to the next question. I always ask people on my students, just ask the next question. You've asked the first question, you've got an answer. Process that and then ask the next question.
Hmm.
That next question it may be as simple as why. It's a question, but ask
Hmm.
the next question. Why is this happening? Why are they saying that? Especially, and we can do this now. Yay, because we can use this as an example, especially during COVID.
Yeah.
Why weren't people just asking the next question? Why were people being asked to ignore what they were actually seeing with their own eyes? Because we were seeing stuff with our own eyes. My wife's question was, if so many people are dying, then why aren't people in the funeral parlors up in arms saying stuff? They weren't. We didn't see.
Hmm.
We saw a fake video from Italy, but we didn't see any fake video from you know the funeral parlors, which should have been had bodies stacked. They
Yeah.
didn't, and nobody was asking that question. Why? And I know why the media wasn't asking that question, but why weren't people, just us, you over there, oh, you over there, let's ask that question. Where are all these dead bodies that are supposed to be stacking up like cordwood? Ask the next question. Have we been socialized out of asking the next question?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, people don't learn how to think critically. And with the advent of social media, I mean, there's something about social media that turns otherwise rational people into imbeciles. And when I say that, what I mean is that we are conditioned to react emotionally, viscerally. It doesn't reward thinking. I mean, if you look at all of the top influencers and the top podcasts in the country, they're not it's not content that really makes you think. It's not conversations with opposing views or maybe different nuanced views for people to explore. It's one fringe versus the other fringe. And if you're on this team, you have to react emotionally to whatever the other team is doing. So when that happens, critical thinking goes out of the window. I mean, it's like they say, there's no money in nuance. Like I tend to be a lot more nuanced. But here's the thing, even, I'm not even excluding myself from this because I have found myself reacting in certain ways in the past and even in the future, and I know better. So there's something about this digital space and this media environment that we're in right now that really discourages critical thinking because you don't the problem is that people don't know who to trust. I mean, there might be an influencer who is 100% honest, maybe they get some things wrong, but then there's others who will literally say things that they know are not true because they know it'll get them clicks, it'll get them attention, it'll get them invites to speaking engagements, all the good stuff. And when you're in that environment, it makes it a lot harder because before social media, you just had your legacy media outlets lying to you all the time, and you had to watch media from both sides to get at least close to knowing the whole story. Now that media has been more democratized, which I think is an overall good thing, but there are some negative aspects of it too. You have to really do your research to know who you should trust and who you shouldn't trust. And right now, the ones you shouldn't trust are the ones who get the most clicks, and they're the ones who are pushed more often on X and other social media platforms as well. So it's a very tough situation that we're in, and I'm not really even sure how we get out of it. I think things will get better, but I think they're going to get worse before they get better, which is kind of terrifying because when this stuff gets into real life, like we just saw that guy in Boulder, Colorado throw Molotov cocktails at Israel supporters. That wouldn't have happened 10, 20 years ago in general. Like you're not going to have a whole lot of that. And yet, right before that, you had two people working at the Israeli embassy in DC get shot to death over the war in Gaza. This is going to get worse because in a lot of ways, we are being manipulated into this stuff.
Well, that you're right. That is absolutely terrifying. And being and there's no way to really filter because frankly, and you're right, the democratization of all this is cool because there's no way to filter somebody like me and a $30 webcam and off we go. And the
Hmm.
and the and the media, of how to do this almost says, "Hey, man, write your the title of your podcast to get people's attention. Make your thumbnail something that gets people's attention." And as we said at the beginning, sometimes people don't get past the thumbnail. They don't get past the title. That's
Yeah.
it. And then they're off and running to the races. And you're right. And when you're more
Yeah.
nuanced, people have a tendency to go, "Ah, nah, well, you know what? You're a little wishy-washy." No, I'm trying to give you the whole thing. I'm trying to give you the entire meal, not just the dessert. Because
Mhm.
eventually the dessert will rot your teeth out and make your pancreas quit. So I'm trying to give you the whole meal. And people aren't
Yep.
ready for the whole meal. They're just not. All right. Well, tell people how other I mean, obviously you're on, townhall.com because you're famous now. He is Jeff is famous. Uh how can people get a hold of the stuff that you write? Are you not still doing your podcast because you're so busy being famous?
I am still doing it. It's been slow going lately because I have been pretty busy, but I am still doing my podcast. On my You can check out my YouTube channel. It's called A Fresh Perspective with Jeff
Mhm.
Charles, and then that's where I put a lot of my podcasts and elsewhere as well. And then yeah, you can read my work on Town Hall, and you can follow me on X at Jeff Charles Jr.
Jeff Charles Jr. And that'll and when I remember when I edit this, I'll put that on the screen there in front of you. That way people can do that. Please do that because those kind of things help, and especially for what we're trying to talk about today. You trying to get the entire perspective, and you want to know, who do I go to? Funny story at work, Jeff. There was a gentleman who is a good guy, leans right, leans conservative, and he said, "So Willie, you know, I used to like go to Drudge every morning." I'm like, "Oh, did you really?" Yeah, a lot of us did. A lot of us did. Can't go there anymore. Where should I go? And I said, "I don't know. Have you been on townhall.com?" And he had never heard of it.
Mm.
I'm like,
Oh,
"How?
really?
How? How in 2025 you've never heard of it?" Because people get into their thing and they get in their rut, and unless somebody tells them, they won't know. And what he's found is that he thanked me like I had given him money. Once he went, literally, he thanked me like I had given him money. and go, and there's other folks. There are other people. There are other things. There's a lot. Hell, you can go to the OG. Why don't you go to Breitbart? I mean, go to the OG. Let's go.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that I am super happy that you are doing what you're doing. And I am super thankful that you will spend just a few minutes with us here on the program today. I trust that your life there in your new state is going well. Jeff spent like, I don't know, 15 minutes living in Florida, and he went, it's too hot, it's too sticky, it's too dangerous. There's too many alligators and crocodiles.
Mhm.
I got to get out of here. I get it. I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. All right. Again, thank you ever so much for coming by. Thanks for telling people how they can get a hold of you, how they can interact. Because if you subscribe to townhall.com, it's not very much money. It's like $6 a month. It's fairly cheap. That way you can you can comment, and that way you can interact and you can get the entire picture. Jeff's not going to answer all your DMs on X because he ain't got time for that. But you know what? You might get a question. You might spark him. And I hope
Yeah.
the hat tip that I gave you about the Larissa Thompson case, if you look into that, because it shows the hypocrisy of what we're
Yeah.
talking about. I mean, it's exactly what you were what you were talking about. If you can get into that, that would be great. All right, folks. Jeff, I'm gonna let you go because I know you're busy. Thank you ever so much for spending some time with us here this morning on the Morning Report. Again, I thank you. I'm really grateful to you, Jeff, for coming onto the program. So, folks, until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We will see you when we see you. Bye bye now.